Hello, and welcome to another episode of Black Marriage Therapy. I'm your host, Kristen Smith, and in today's episode, we have a very candid conversation about growth in marriage, ups and downs, and capacity. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode. This episode is going to be a little bit different because I am joined here by Junior, but this is going to be more of a candid conversation instead of our typical tips and tricks and tools and new resource that we found, even though that's all that we do. That hasn't gone away. But to be honest, I think that sometimes when it comes to like marriage content, it can feel like pressure to feel like to show a perfect marriage and to show that you're always doing well, you're always doing great. But I have been inspired by some of the greats in marriage content, especially Black marriage content, which is like Mr. and Mrs. Kev on Stage, A Belief in Fatherhood, and some of the other greats, Ask the Martins, and they are one thing that I did gain from them in their marriage content is that they are not afraid to show the downs in marriage too, and how also the downs, sharing the downs in your marriage can benefit people just as much as showing the happy parts of it. Jerry and I have been married for 12 years. We've known each other for 16 years. We got married very young. And I think that with age, with children, with responsibility, there are certain things that forces you to grow in marriage, certain things that makes you stretch, and personal things also that affect your marriage. So in this kind of conversation, we're going to be talking about different things. I'm really just like rolling with it. But Junior's here too, so say what's up.
Hello, hello. What's up? I have no idea what we're about to talk about.
What?
I apologize in advance.
Don't do that, Junior.
She said we're having a candid conversation and she turned the camera, put it in my face. So here I am.
No, I'm just saying that I think there's a couple of things that we've been trying to discuss in our marriage. Okay, first of all, let's just start here. What do you think is the problem right now that we're facing, or the
don't
struggles that we're
don't
facing
ask
in
no
our
dangerous
relationship?
question like
No,
that.
I'm just saying if you don't feel like you want to share, but I'm just saying, like, just be honest. Like, what do you think we're struggling with right now in our marriage?
I
Just
think
answer
we're
honestly.
struggling with trust.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't trust me.
Wow.
I trust you. Now I'm struggling with trust because you don't trust me. So now I don't trust you.
Yeah.
But guess what I found out?
What?
It's impossible for me to like turn it off. I feel inauthentic. Like I was trying to like walk around the way you walk around, kind of like avoidant and
Mm-hmm.
me not being anxious. So this is all tied to attachment styles.
Yeah.
And that's what's been giving me grace to understand you,
Mm-hmm.
attachment styles. So I know your attachment style is avoidant. I know I'm anxious, right?
Mm-hmm.
My dad passed out love in slices, right? If you
Yeah.
pleased him, he'll pass out a little drop of love.
Yeah.
So it's easy for me to work for your love and work for love. But
Mm-hmm.
seeing you kind of be avoidant and like not come to me, especially if you've done wrong to me, and like seeing that that's tied to your personality, your attachment style, makes it seem kind of like, are we gonna always be going through this forever? Until I tried to also pull away and like not trust you as much, not be as open, really.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really change my level of trust, just not be
Mm-hmm.
as open, and it does not work for me.
I think I felt that too. You pulling away, which I'm like not mad at totally, because I'm like, you have a right to. I think, okay, it's interesting that you bring up trust because I'll just say this. I didn't think that my trust issues can spill over into different forms of trust. And what I've found is that it absolutely can. So if you know us from the beginning of this whole thing, this whole process, like from the beginning of our marriage, I really struggled with abandonment issues and trusting Junior in different aspects. But when I kind of got over those things and grew from those things, I'm like, okay, great, we're doing great. And then I realized, oh, there's another aspect. Like the deeper you go in love and the deeper you go in your relationship, there's a level of trust and vulnerability that you have to offer your spouse. And I'm like, oh, didn't know that I would have to open that back up. Um, so yeah, I think that there is something going on with trust. Is there anything else?
No, the trust is the branch. I mean, is the roots.
Mm-hmm.
Lack of vulnerability is an offshoot. That frustrates me. How you can be so transparent and not vulnerable. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what I mean is this: you and I are having a problem, right? Like, you feel it, I feel it, but you act as if nothing's wrong. Like, you can go about your day, you can make jokes with me, you can be nice, you can make dinner for me, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, isn't there a problem? Like, don't we feel disconnected? But you kind of just like, without even thinking, subconsciously you can just compartmentalize the fact that you don't feel connected to me. And I'm like, this girl could really do this for days. Whereas for me, I get to day 7, day 8 of feeling this way of not connected to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to have a conversation, or, you know, my mind is racing with all these negative thoughts about you. And I'm like trying my best not to create stories. But for you, you just seem like you could do this for years, not be emotionally close to me,
Mm-hmm.
be detached, but still laugh and be courteous and be a cool mom. And that really, really scared me.
It scared you?
Yeah, because it's like you're ready for this life. You know what I'm saying? Like you're ready to be, sleeping in 2 different beds. Like you're ready for it. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Like it could go that way and you won't be phased because you're actually ready for that way. Where
Mm-hmm.
me, that'd be a disaster for me.
Mm-hmm.
I could not go that way, sleeping in 2 different beds.
Mm-hmm.
What's the point?
Yeah, I think, listen, I want to say this specifically. I want to say this to you. You are not crazy, because I think sometimes when you peep something is going on with your spouse or something going on in the relationship, like the other person could gaslight you or make you feel like, no, everything's fine, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not gonna do that. I don't think that you're crazy. I don't think that the feelings that you're having is like invalid. I think a lot of what you're feeling is true. I just think that I'm trying to work it out. I'm trying to work it out, and I think that what you're sensing of me being like here but kind of not here is me trying to like maintain our life because we have children, we have bills, we have things that we have to do, but then at the same time like deal with my own self. And the hardest part right now is that I just don't feel like I can bring myself to you. And I think that's where the trust issue comes, right? Because I just feel like there's certain deep things that I'm dealing with that for the first time in a long time in our relationship, in our marriage, I feel like I don't know if I can bring this to you. Like I feel like I need outside help. And I've gotten outside help before, but it wasn't for my marriage. It was
You can't bring
for
what to me?
the things that I feel like I'm going
Why don't
dealing
you
with.
try? Why don't you try? And then if we fail miserably, then we fail. But like you saying you can't bring it to me kind of closes the conversation, and then I just
Yeah.
have to sit and wait on the sidelines until you tell me you're all better again.
Mm-hmm.
But waiting on the sidelines is dangerous. It's not, time plus the way I'm thinking and the way I'm
Mm-hmm.
feeling doesn't equal anything good.
But when I'm telling you I can't bring it to you, I'm not saying that like I'm saying like I feel like I literally can't. Like I just feel too much like shame, too emotionally volatile, too heavy. Like I feel like I really just can't.
What if you wrote it down on a piece of paper? No, because I tell you the truth. Here's a nice story. My mom came to America and she had a child back in Jamaica. You know the story,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't know the story. And unfortunately, she got into an abusive relationship, and the man told her to cut off all communications with her daughter in Jamaica. At that time, she was sending letters home to her daughter in Jamaica. He told her stop sending the letters, and she did. And then eventually, that daughter grew up, moved to America on her own right, got herself a house and proceeded to hate my mom.
Mm-hmm.
This is my half sister. She just had so much hate for her because she felt abandoned by her, which I would agree. She was abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward, maybe she's living in America for about 10 years now. She's like, maybe, I don't know when she came to America, like 16. So she's like 27. She writes my mom a note
Mm.
of how much she hates her.
Mm.
It's like page back and front, beautiful handwriting. And
She
I
gave it to her?
she gave my mom this note in an envelope about how much she hates her so much. And mom
Whoa.
read the letter and was so relieved because it was the first step towards the relationship they have now. But my sister could not say it to her. She just couldn't look her mother in the eye and say, I hate you with like every day I think about why aren't you here? And And you didn't even tell me why you stopped writing me letters. You just stopped writing. You could have wrote one more letter saying, hey, this man is controlling, but you just stopped. You abandoned me. And they have a relationship now, a much better relationship. And it was a lot of work,
Mm-hmm.
but that's how she started with writing a letter.
How come every time I bring this up to you, you want me to when I tell you like I feel like I need outside help or I feel like I can't bring this part of myself to you right now, you're like, just try me, just do it anyway. You're asking me to
I
trust you when I'm having
understand.
trust issues.
Yeah, I get that that can be frustrating for you. To be
Yeah.
honest with you, I don't want to push you too much because I know, being anxious, me trying to solve things could even push you away.
Mm-hmm.
So me trying to solve you could actually be a problem when in reality, I'm actually trying to help. So I understand that much. And if you tell me back down, I will. It's just really hard on this side. It's gotten a lot harder to, as a Christian man, I believe only for Christians, if you're married, you're supposed to give your wife 100%
Mm-hmm.
because I'm modeling off of Jesus who gave us 100% and we gave him zero. So you could literally give me zero and I give you 100. You feel me? You could tell me, you can not say you love me. You can withhold sex. You can do all that stuff. And I'm still going to try my best to be like Jesus in a relationship. It's hard being Jesus now. I'm
Mm-hmm.
struggling. Like I have all these negative thoughts and like, it's so hard. So it's just, I want something to change.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I'm trying to offer these things to you. But I am cognizant of the fact I could be hurting you. So if opening up to me is something you can't do, I am asking that you do something else, which is the 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 daily meetings I propose to you and the journal writing. That can be your steps that I can see you're taking. That's not necessarily you opening up to me.
Mm-hmm. And I'm okay with that, like participating in whatever you're asking me to do because but you said one time like, oh, it feels like you're just like going through the motions. And I'm like, I can honestly say like I'm going through the motions because I'm trying to do two things at once. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure this out and still maintain this without because you don't deserve it, like. And I just have to say to our audience, like to people listening, it's nothing crazy or whatever like that, but let's be honest, like there's certain parts of marriage, like especially even married as long as we have and from such a young age, where there's a lot of ups and downs. And I think that there's growth that happens that ignites a different path or a different level of questioning in your own self. And I feel like that's kind of what's happening with me, where I don't know. I don't know if it's because I turned 30. I don't know. I just think that there are certain things that I'm really questioning about myself, a lot of the decisions I've made. You know, and I think that the responses, the emotions, the feelings, everything that I'm experiencing, comes with, for me, because I struggle with it so much shame that I'm like, I need to figure this out.
You know,
I haven't come to the place where I'm like not willing. I just feel like I need to figure out on my own way, which I've always been like that.
no, I get it. It's just, waiting is hard. It's getting harder by the day. And we've never not shared things. This is the first time that you're
Yeah.
gonna not share something with me.
Mm-hmm.
And you share some crazy things with me. So now in my mind, I could only imagine. And that's not good for me. Like, what is it that you can't share with me that you're like, it's so big of a life change altering decision? You're telling people it's not that big of a deal,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm like, okay, like, am I gonna end up not being married? Like, what is she thinking about? Like, oh hey, Junior, I thought about it, and you know what? Polygamy is for me. Yep, I need
Whoa.
more than one man. I didn't know how to tell you, but two men. I'm like, I don't know what it could be,
Yeah.
So, I might end up being unmarried. And that's rough because the dating scene is rough out here. And I got two of them things that eat chicken nuggets. So it's gonna be difficult. Gotta hit the
Two of the
gym
things
some
that eat
more.
chicken
Gotta start
nuggets.
taking pre-workout, you know what I'm saying? Take some blood pills to boost circulation down there. All the other stuff I gotta start doing now. Taking selfies.
You know what? I think that I feel like I just started my life, which sounds so, oh my gosh, I think I'm getting emotional. Guys, I'm like 3 days from my period. So if I cry, please don't think that I'm like just being, weak. Oh my gosh. I think it's literally because every time before my period, I got to get one good cry in. So this is probably going to be the cry. But I think that I realize so many of the decisions I've made and the ideas I had about myself came from my trauma, right? And I never saw that as a bad thing. And I don't think it's totally a bad thing now, but now I'm thinking about, dang, what if I had an option? What if I actually had a choice? What choice would I make? You know what I'm saying? Because like when you're coming out of trauma, bro, you're not thinking, you're only thinking your survival. Every choice and decision you make is survival. So now there's a lot of things about me, my personality, who I am, how I've showed up for people. Oh my gosh, my voice is cracking. That sounds so cheesy. I hate it. There's so many things that I'm like, I feel like I literally just spawned because I have really just come into my own emotions, right? Which is like, oh no, this is what, because I've suppressed for so long because of my past. I've really come into my own autonomy where I'm like making decisions for myself, making boundaries for myself. I've come into my own like empowerment where I'm like making decisions for myself, without totally thinking about other people. I've always made decisions, done everything as like other people. And now I'm like kind of thinking about this rebirth of myself without trauma, right? Because I'm like, the past is the past, it's done. I feel like I've kind of overcome that, but now it's just me all by myself with no trauma and reflecting on all the decisions I made, reflecting on who I am. And I'm like, oh, damn. Okay. And I don't have an answer for you, but I'm just like, I feel like that's what I'm thinking about on a daily basis is some of those questions and some of those things I'm like, maybe I could share with you. Some of them I don't want to share with you. But that I think is what I want to kind of work out. And I feel like I want to do it by myself. Because even you are part of that decision making. And it sounds bad, but part of the reason why I got married to you is to leave my mom because she was so toxic. You know what I'm saying? The other part is one, I knew you were the right person for me, and I knew you were who I wanted to marry. Like you were the exact person I was looking for. But
I thought you wanted somebody bigger than me.
physically,
Yeah,
you can't
somebody.
get everything that you want.
Okay.
But still, like, so if you are even part of that history or part of that thing that I'm dealing with, I wouldn't want to bring that. I don't want to bring that to you. I kind of want to like work it out and talk it out, with someone
I
else.
mean, I can understand how you may want to reinvent yourself, and you don't want to reinvent yourself with me. You want to reinvent yourself with somebody more removed from you.
Neutral.
It's almost like, you go to a middle school, you feel me? But middle school is done, time to go to high school. You reinvent yourself because you don't know anybody at that high school. Would you want to practice, your new clothes or your new swagger with somebody from middle school? No, you're like, I'm done with y'all. Y'all never see me again. Okay. All that ridicule you did for me, I'm gonna reinvent myself in high school. You want something fresh. And so maybe if you're trying to reinvent yourself, you would want to do that kind of away from me, apart from me, kind of, by yourself.
I don't even know if I want to reinvent myself. I just want to feel more secure. I just want to feel more secure. That's all. Do you have any questions for me?
So many questions.
Okay.
So being secure, you have to make decisions on who you are now in order to be secure. And when you're secure, then you can trust me.
It's like I feel like I have to. I want to cry. Oh, I hate this so much. I'm regretting doing this like candidly because now I'm crying. Oh my goodness. Okay. I feel like I have to close my heart off to people until like I'm sure of myself. I can't do both. Like I can't be like raw and like, and just like have my heart open to people. or to you.
What does that look like? You closing your heart off while you do maintenance? Close for construction. What does that look like? Is there a detour that we go around now?
I think it looks like exactly what you feel like right now, which is
Mm.
like, I cannot deny that of Junior, which is like, you're feeling like more distance, more coldness, more like, is she here with me or is she not here with me? You know? And I'm like, I'm here physically, but my heart is like over here, you know? So,
Well, you've been bringing yourself to me for a while. You've been figuring yourself out for like 2 years now.
mm-hmm.
So you finally hit something that like is so hard that now you're because you've been doing this for a while. You've been growing and in
I have
yourself for like
been
2 years now.
I have been unearthing. I have been digging. I have been, like removing all the rubble, all the filth. And now something has come up and I'm like, oh, I have to address this. And like I think that's part of like, for me, I'm like naturally avoidant. I'm like, oh, how could I like not address this? But it's like you can't do that. You can't live life like that because the people around you get hurt. I remove all the dirt, all the filth, all the trauma, and like I'm left with myself. So now I'm like, dang, I gotta deal with myself. That's how I feel.
Hmm.
And I don't feel like, oh my gosh, I feel like in marriage you should be able to do that, but I'm like, I feel like I can't. Like I feel scared or like unsafe. Like I feel like I really can't bring that raw unearth. I'm like, whoa, that's too much for me.
Too much for me.
No, that's too much for me. Like I can't physically be present. Like I
Oh,
can't actually do that with you.
okay. Okay.
So I'm like, let me like, how can I best deal with what I'm going, like deal with my problem and be here as
Yeah.
present as I can. Like, how can I
Yeah.
do both?
Well, yeah, you would need somebody who's trained on helping people unearth, dig up, process things that they find that they can't do by themselves, which is a therapist, right? So you would go to a therapist and they would help you with unearthing, well, with processing this thing that you found, and they would help you go through it, identify it. They probably got strategies for you. Yeah, you need a professional. That way you could be doing work on that thing and at the same time to give you strategies for showing up for your family and being here. And they probably, they've done this before, not their first rodeo. So, a therapist would be your best bet. Because doing it by yourself would be messy.
It's not working.
Yeah. Doing it by yourself wouldn't work. Because you can't do it.
I don't think I can because I just need help with saying it out loud, having it sorted out, being questioned, being critiqued. Like I
So
need
you could
challenge.
talk about it in an empty room. You can say it out loud to yourself if the room is empty.
Yes,
Or you can say
but
it
I
out
don't
loud.
think that'll have help.
No, no, not help. I just want to know if you can utter it
Yes,
out your mouth.
yes.
What could this thing
I
be?
I think that I am naturally introspective, and I think that I'm naturally critical of myself and things like that. But that usually doesn't help me because those good things turn into bad things very quickly. I judge myself, I critique myself pretty harshly. What I'm saying, or I over inspect. Because I'm introspective, stuff like that. So yeah, I don't want you to like get lost in the fact that like it's not a mystery or anything like that. It's simply me finding myself and me needing to like address these things that I'm finding out about myself. Like not like that's what I'm saying. I don't want you to think like it's anything crazy or whatever like that. It's just like I just it's just me. It's just growth. It's just like that very ugly, not unpure, but like just the ugliness of growth, the ugliness of like working through trauma. And because there's so many different phases. Like, if you guys are listening, like, there are different phases of trauma. There's when you first are aware, then you work it out, you unearth it, then you probably come to a point where you're with me, where you're a new person. Now, what do you do with this new person? You know what I'm saying? And there's probably another phase that I don't know about, but it affects the relationships around you. And that is the part where I feel so bad because, like, obviously I can see that you're hurt and like that we're distant, but then even with my children, I'm like, I don't feel like I'm the same with everyone. I just feel so different, but I know it's because I can't do both. I can't have like this thing that I'm working on and give my heart like that, you know? Maybe that's part of the deep roots of shame. Whereas the fact that you can't bring your ugly un what's the word? Like uncarved or like when they're carving stuff, you can't bring that raw material to people. I can't. I physically can't. I feel like I would like pass out. I would die. Like if I had to do that, you know? So
And okay, I understand. So passing out, you think, just a random question, would be because of the shame? Because the thing isn't that bad, but it's the shame that will make you pass out.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Okay.
think so.
So we
I
just
can honestly say that, yeah.
okay, so we're learning to deal with the shame about whatever event you have or thing you're discovering in your life. Yeah, because shame can hype up anything.
Thankfully, I'm like I've seen and witnessed how shame can keep you so silent because secrecy is shame's best friend, you know? And I've seen how you can feel so shame about certain things that you are genuinely struggling with. It's not even like you're a bad person, it's just you're genuinely struggling with it, but people feel so much shame that destroys them. Like the shame and the secrecy by itself can destroy them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to be foolish in that saying that I can just maintain this lie for the rest of my life and just like keep this shame deep within me and this secrecy deep within me and know that it won't affect it. It's just like it's a lie. And I feel like this only been happening for the past couple of months and I've already seen the trickle of it. So I don't want to live that lie, but I do know that the way I want to go about this, I feel like it has to be in a very delicate way. It has to be in a way where I feel like it's neutral, where it's safe. Like it has to be super, super safe. And it's like, it's not that I don't think that you're safe. I just think that maybe you're a part of it. And not in a blaming
Yeah.
way, but it's just like I also have to discuss you. I have to discuss you, but this is the first time I can't discuss you with you.
Yeah, I understand. Listen, I understand. You want to go to a therapist. I need to figure out what I'm going to do. That's what I need to figure out because, it's a process. So now we don't have a deadline. And, you know, you're trying to get a handle on this thing. So, pray for patience, grace. Holy Spirit's been doing a great job of, putting me inside your shoes. I spent the whole day yesterday just in your shoes, your hypothetical shoes, and I saw a lot of stuff, you know. From this week, I was looking at you, and stories started to creep in my head about you because I feel the distance. I'm like, how is she so comfortable? Now I know you feel it too, but before this conversation, you look so comfortable being distant and living life. Before this conversation,
Mm.
smiling, like I said, being courteous, cooking me stuffed bell peppers. I'm like, ain't we like on bad terms? Like, aren't we not fully engaged with each other? Like, can't you feel the distance growing? But you cooking me stuffed bell peppers? I was so confused. And so I was creating stories. I was like, oh, she can do this. Like she's showing me right here, she can do this. She can cook for me, and we can have a successful, thriving business, and then get divorced at 70, like like Steph Curry's parents.
Mm.
It's like, yeah, man, we know how to strategize together and win. All we
Mm-hmm.
do is win, but not for each other. So,
Mm-hmm.
like Adam and Eve, just be like ashamed of each other, naked and ashamed,
Mm-hmm.
hide from each other.
Mm-hmm.
But the Holy Spirit told me, look at Kristen's life real quick. She was feeling sick. She was feeling sick. She's under the weather. That's number one. Number two, she's under a lot of pressure. You just got a lot of people in her house right now, and that just zaps her. She got three guests in the house at the same time. They overlapped, and they're still here. So that's another thing. Then on top of that, kids was crazy this week. I mean, even you was stressed. Imagine her being stressed. And then on top of that, she got a lot of stuff to do. She's trying to study for that test, and she's trying to do this other thing. So if you add all four of those things together, and say, and her period's coming up, boom, you add all five of those things together, you can show her some grades if she's short with you. And I'm like, that really helped me. It didn't cure me because in the back of my head, I was like, yeah, but it's been like weeks, like we've been like this, like distant. She's not making a bid towards me. She's not reaching out for me. She's not trying to close the gap. She's comfortable with it because she's avoidant. I know why. And I'm anxious and I'm just, it was tearing me up. But I try my best to just go in your shoes as much as possible. This is my
Mm.
strategy for what to do in the meantime, in the interim, while you're dealing with yourself, is, pray for grace, have more strategies. If you can show me, working on yourself in other ways that I could see, like the journaling. But see, then again, that goes into policing, and I'm not trying to police you, but I just need something. You got to give me something so I can hold on to it
Yeah.
because it's something to help fight back the voices in my head and help me just to know, like, yeah, it may not be this what I'm looking for, but I'm getting that. So,
Is so can you give me an example of one thing that you need? I guess that we can just wrap it up here unless you have more questions for me. Do you have any more questions for me?
nope,
Okay. So, yeah, so like I said in the beginning, this is a very candid conversation of really just showing true marriage and how things are not always peaches and cream. But to end, maybe we can kind of figure out what I can do, because the you feeling like it's going through the motions is accurate. And I don't know specifically how to make it not feel like that, because I know we have QT and I try to be consistent with that as much as possible, our quality time, but other than that, is there something specific that I can do?
lots of head, just like
Junior.
once I'm joking. No, first question is, what would happen if you don't solve this thing? Like if you go to therapy and it's like $700 a month, which we cannot afford. So we
Mm-hmm.
end up not going to therapy because we cannot afford it. What's gonna
Mm-hmm.
happen?
That is a great question. I think I really need it. I think I've been saying this for about a month now, that I'm like, I think I need some help. I think I really need to like figure some things out. The only other time I felt like this was after I had Eden. That was 4 years ago. And I'm feeling the same way. I'm feeling trapped. I'm feeling cornered. I'm feeling like I need additional support.
You prayed about it? That's what helped you with Eden when you had that when you was going through this.
No, that was after I had Eden, not
Yeah,
before.
after you had Eden, but you end up praying about it and got some big revelation and we
I
talked
did.
about it. Yeah, so I'm asking you now, did you pray about this?
I
Is this situation cause you to kind of avoid God because you don't really know where you
Yes.
are?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I get that.
I think any authority figure or any close relationship that I have, when I go through really deep trying times or growth, I do default to separation rather than closeness, because I just feel safer being
Okay.
separate.
Can you
And
try bringing it to him as well? Like we'll do the therapy,
mhm,
but can you also try bringing it to him rather than relying on the therapy first and then be like, oh, when I feel better, then I bring it to him?
that's a great question. I yeah yes, it's very hard for me to do this inauthentically. It's very hard for me to be like, here God, here's all my problems. You know what I'm saying? Knowing that, like, I feel like my heart is a little bit distant.
No, I mean I get not feeling when you do it,
Mm-hmm.
but I still think it's important for you to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm not saying do this separate in exclusion from therapy. I'm saying you're
Mm-hmm.
doing both. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
telling you just to pray.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the therapist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying do both, even if you do it inauthentically.
Okay. Okay. I think I could do that via journal. I don't think I could do
Yeah.
it out loud.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, you said what I need you to do for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're writing in that journal, I tell you, I keep all the thoughts at bay. You know what I'm saying? I'm in it for the long haul. I don't know if you're gonna come out in 6 months. I don't know if you're gonna come out in 3 months. I don't know if you're gonna come out in a year. I don't know how long it's gonna take. That's the position. That's where I'm at. I'm being for a ride as much as you are
Mm-hmm.
because I'm your spouse. I'm attached to you. Whatever happens to you happens to me. That's what Falcon said to Captain America. People
Mm-hmm.
shooting at you end up shooting at me. So you're preparing for war, and me too. So that's what I'm saying. Like we don't want to be fighting against each other. We want to make the problem, make the issue. So stuff for me in good faith would be you doing that journal. Let me know, like, okay, she's writing about it to God. That's important to me. As you're going through things that you see professional help, because God gave us medical professionals at the same time we seek him as well because we're Christian. So if I can see that, and then I'll be like, yo, everything's okay for me. It checks out. Almost like that mom who's like, yeah, my son came to church on Easter. I don't care what he doing. He's slinging drugs. Don't matter. He was there on Easter. You saw him? Okay, good. My baby's blessed.
Yeah.
Keep his name out your mouth.
Yeah.
I'm like that kind of person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry
I
that.
wish you brought it to me because I had to unearth all you unearthing, but I had to unearth you unearthing this. That was the most painful part, the lack of communication. Me
Mm-hmm.
having to feel what I felt and then go through guessing and try to see if it was actually correct. And then, you didn't come to me forthright and tell me. I had to keep digging and pulling out of you, and that's exhausting. So that's what added to, I pull and pull and pull and find out it's I get a whammy at the end of that, which is like double worse. If I just got the whammy, got a punch in the face is fine. But imagine pulling on the string, 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 punch in the face. Now you're just exhausted. And then finding out, hey, by the way, I'm not ready to come back yet. And I don't know when I'll be coming back home. It's like you're in a daze. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I can understand that. All right. Well, thank you for joining us on our very candid conversation for this episode. If you have been enjoying the content, please follow us on Instagram at Black Marriage Therapy, rate us on your podcast platform, and share your favorite episode with a friend. We also have a unique opportunity for you to support this podcast monthly. All you have to do is go to our show notes and click the link to support this podcast for as little as 99 cents per month. You can partner with us to continue to provide you with high quality content. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Black Marriage Therapy. Talk to you soon.
peace.